cycle, starting from the first stage of project initiation first, to the planning, then the execution and closing of the project. Then a project manager should has his own responsibility, and like it should be someone that has the idea of it should have a good organizing and analytic skills. Also be able to communicate. It should also be able to delegate, prioritize the activity, ensuring that the project meets its time bound and within budget. Also, we were meant to understand what again? Okay, I think that is all I can give for now. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, sir, for that wonderful. So we'll be having someone else to discuss on this or take on for last class. Who is going next? Or should I call names? Okay, Mr. Destiny.
Oh. Okay, hello.
We are listening, Mr. Destiny.
Sorry, I just joined. So what did you say?
I said, what's your take on for the last class of project management?
Okay. Okay, my take home was about project management skill, which is very, very, very important. This is among the challenges that I've been having as a project manager. So it was very important for me to know that as a facility manager, you need to have a management skill in which the number one is the conflict management, which is the key, very, very, very important. So management skill, and also people management, how to manage people. Because when I started, this is the problem that I've been having. You see different characters and different attitude in the place. So it wasn't easy. So that last class really opened my eyes concerning facility management, that you need to know how to manage people, manage conflict, and skill management. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Destiny.
Okay. The first speaker actually did so much recap, but I would just want to add that the management, I learned that executing that has some risk inherent, which the facility manager needs to really look at closely. And it also, the key thing too, as a project manager, you need to have a good documentation skill to actually put down some learning points, which will serve as something that will help you improve in your future projects. So I learned that documentation cannot be taken out of a project when you are handling a project. Don't forget, we equally had established the fact that projects has some good unique features, which comprises of a start and an end date. It's not, I also learned there that I learned the difference between routine tasks and projects. Routine tasks, a daily task, what you say as projects. So what I learned there is that project is something that starts and ends. You don't but routine tasks are things you monitor on a daily basis, all of that. So that's some of the things I took out.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. So who is going next? Mrs. Mary.
Ma?
Please, can you tell us your take home for the last class?
Okay. So my take home for the last class, we learned that for every project, no project is too small. No matter how small the project is, the project manager has to put a lot of planning in place to ensure it goes smoothly. And that before the project starts, there must be a meeting between the different stakeholders that will be performing in the project. And even during the project stage, the meeting should still continue so that they can detect if anything goes wrong along the line, and so that a solution can be done on it quickly before escalation. I also learned that feedback mechanism is very important in projects because it's good to carry, it's good to ensure the pioneers are aware of everything going on so that they can be smooth financial running of the project. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Mrs. Mary. I'll be having Mr. Timothy for his take home.
Okay. Yeah, good evening.
Good evening.
Okay, for last week, what I really learned was that I I was asking myself why as a facility manager, why do we really need to study project management? So I came to realize that the knowledge we gain from studying project management helps us to know how to manage time, how to manage personnel, how to manage budget effectively too. And I also went ahead to gather information on duties of a project manager, which is not far from planning, and that is he is responsible for planning the project, and we have execution. That is, he ensures that he ensures the execution of the project. We have monitoring and controlling, and then we have the closing of the project. And I also learned some skills of a project manager, which includes conflict management. He needs to learn how to manage people, manage time, and also learn how to resolve conflict. So I think those are the few take I had for last week class.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Timothy. That was really great. So, Mrs. Silva. Mrs. Silva. Mrs. Silva, are you with us? Seems she's not on seat. So we'll be having Mr. Luashim. Mr. Luashim, please can you give us your take home for the last class?
Okay, hello.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Hello.
We can hear you, sir.
We had a lot of discussion last month, actually. But is it which particular topic, or is it the last one?
The last on the project management.
Okay. Yeah, about project management.
Yeah.
There are so many things that I gained from it actually. Now, we have some moments whereby we are having project initiation, project closure. That's the final stage. Monitoring and control of projects. And I was told that monitoring and control is very, very vital, very, very important in project management, because that is where you review, you'll be able to know or the materials to be used. Then if you monitor a project, you'll be able to know where you are lagging behind or materials are being used wastefully. So you'll be able to curtail all those things. Then you'll be able to project on the next line.
We can't hear you again, Mr. Oluwashim.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
So I was told, like what I was saying the other time, that when your project team, you have to look for a level ground of satisfying your project team. If the project team are not really being motivated, you have to look for a way of motivating them. That's what I want to use in order to get to work and do the needful during the project. And I learned that project closure is very, very important here as well. That one will determine. Now, by the time you are closing a project, it doesn't mean that you will still not follow up on it. Like maybe a contractor asks you to, a client asks you to build a property for him. Now, when you deliver a property, you still need to follow up on some of the work being done, like the plumbing system, like electrical system, maybe for the period of some time, so that at least you know that though you have handed over the project, but there's still need for you to follow up to see to some of the things about the project. So that is just it. So,
All
thank
right,
you.
thank you very much.
Yeah.
So please, can everyone hear me? Because some persons are saying they can't hear him. Hello?
We can hear you. We can
Hello.
hear you. Go ahead.
We can
We
hear you.
can hear you.
Okay. I just want to confirm if we could hear Mr. Oluwashim when he was talking.
Although we experienced break, I don't know on my side, but my end, I was not hearing too well. At the point it came up again.
I think a call came in from him that time.
Okay. All right. So I'll be handing up to the facilitator of the class today. Architect, let's see. Yeah, good evening, sir.
Oh, good evening. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you. Come to class this evening. So I'll be looking at building fabric and structured maintenance. That's what I'll be looking at this evening. And we want to do the cluster introduction, look at the walls, ceilings, and roofs. We'll look at floors, windows, and doors, and then we'll conclude. Now, the main purpose of this course, building fabric, is to understand the makeup of any building. That's the most important thing, to understand the makeup of any building.
Building maintenance is very important and is essential to prolong the building life cycle and reduce company loss. When buildings are neglected, defects can occur, which may result in expensive and unavoidable damage to the building fabric or structure itself. It is not only the building that suffers loss, the inheritance of the building and those that are exposed are also exposed to great danger as a result of building loss. So any building that is built must be maintained. Once it's not maintained, there'll be the building will lose its value, and then it may eventually be destroyed. And once this happens, the building itself is a loss, and sometimes people may get exposed to great danger as a result of the building being neglected. This may lead to building collapse. Walls. A wall is a structure that defines an area and carries load or provides shelter or security. Walls in a building form a fundamental part of the superstructure or separate interior rooms. Superstructure is anything that occurs above the ground. Substructure is all the things that occurs below the ground. Anything that occurs below the ground is referred to as substructure. The wall carries the load of the building and transfers it to the building foundation, which now transfers to the soil. So walls sit on building foundations, and then it transfers the load of the building to the soil. Now, there are two types of walls. You have the load-bearing wall and the non-load-bearing wall. Load-bearing wall is that part of the building that is a wall that carries the building load itself from the ceiling, rather from the roof, and transfers it to the foundation. They can either be external or internal walls. Non-load-bearing walls are walls that do not carry load at all. They are referred to as parting walls. Now, when we talk about foundation, foundation is that part of the building that has contact with the ground, that transmits the building load from the walls and transfers it to the soil. We have different types of foundation. We have basically 4 types of foundation. You have the strip foundation, you have the pad foundation, you have the raft foundation, and you have the pile foundation. Now, these different foundations are used for different purposes. Strip foundation is used for the traditional type of building where the soil load bearing capacity is very good. Raft foundation is when the soil is quite loose. And pad foundation is used underneath columns or street lights or standing stanchions. While foundation are used in areas where the building load is extremely heavy and it is impossible for the to be able to carry the building load, and then when the building load capacity is very bad. Other kinds of walls that we have, like we mentioned, we have 2 basic walls. We have the load-bearing walls and the non-load-bearing walls. We have the patching walls. We have firewall. We have shear wall. Patching wall is more is like it's mentioned. It's just for separating different spaces, separating units within a building. Good for sound insulation. Also serves as firewall. Firewalls are built to resist or reduce the spread of fire within or between structures. That's when that's what we basically use firewalls. Firewalls are used in areas that you have a lot of heat or prone to heat, and you know that you need to separate them and especially constructed. Now we have shell walls. Shell walls are built to withstand the forces of wind or earthquake. Normally, we have a lot of shell walls in skyscrapers or high, and they are used to stabilize the building. When buildings go very high, it's very prone to building movement because of the impact of wind. And wind affects especially skyscrapers, so the building moves. The part of the building that is used to stabilize the building from not falling or falling apart is called the shear walls. It forms the core of the structure, and mostly it is done with concrete or steel works. It holds the building in place. You have movable partition walls, just like demarcations that you can have in rooms, just for separating the rooms from places that are non-load bearing walls. You have the curtain walls or building facade. These are glass walls that are decorative, that are used externally to make the building look appears very nice, and then they are normally non-load bearing walls. You have the cavity wall. Cavity wall, it is a wall constructed in two leaves or skins with a space or cavity in between. Cavity walls helps to prevent penetration of rain or internal surfaces of the wall. But they are not load-bearing walls. Cavity walls are used to separate two walls separately. Most of the times used to prevent ingress of water, and also used to control sound alternation from one point to the other. Where you also have expansion joints between buildings, you have cavity walls where the two walls are separated and they carry their own load separately. They are not linked together. Types of wall finishes. There are different types of wall finishes. You have stained glass walls. These are decorative glass, which are used for places like in cathedrals, in churches or mosques. Those things, especially those that are Catholics, though you see those stained glass, they put it in the cathedrals where they make patterns and they draw images of the apostles of Jesus Christ at a point or several areas, just beautifying the glass. You have the pebble finish. These are attractive. They're made from pasting small pebbles on the wall, best suited for building facade or around. You have plaster cement finish. This is applied in a form of a mortar, where you have a mixture of water, sand, and cement in proper proportion, and is used to plaster the wall. The traditional ones that we know, where you have the brick wall and then it's being plastered and finished properly. That is also a finish. You also have marble finish, very smooth finish, looks like marble flooring, is applied manually, where their foot and the wall is applied with marble. It normally comes out very nice and looks very good. You have the plaster of Paris finish, POP. It's the things that you put upon the POP plasters that are used to finish the wall to make it look smooth, especially for internal walls. Applied on internal walls has a very smooth finish and clean. It's normally clean. You also have tile cladding, where you apply tiles for internal and external walls, either marble, granite, glazed or vitrified tiles are used for tile cladding. And areas where this is used, sometimes you have kitchen areas, toilet areas, bathroom areas, where the areas are finished with tiles. And sometimes you have it for external areas, which comes out very nice and beautiful. Some type of materials, wall materials. You have plasterboards. Plasterboards, or what some persons call gypsum board. They are quite expensive. They are very cost effective and easy to install. They use it as dry walls. So you just install it on dry walls. You have the mortar. You have the bricks. Like what we know, you have the fire bricks, has good sound properties. You have the mortar. Mortar is used for holding bricks together. You have the plaster. The plaster is also used in damage to repair damaged walls. Are usually used for fillers, just to make sure that all are in place. You also have tiles that are also used particularly in bathrooms, like I've mentioned, toilets and kitchens, depending on where you want to use it. Then wood cladding is also another type of material used for decorative purposes, where you use wood to clad the walls. The other materials you can also use these days. You also have wallpaper that also applied decorative wall finish. Is used at different areas just because you want to make the place look nice. Then external wall materials, you have metal sheets, what you would call aluco bonding, very strong and resistant to weather. You also have a stone cladding. You have a natural occurring stones that are cut into pieces and then pasted on the wall. You also have plastic clad cheap and also durable. They're also like a local bond material, but they're made of plastic. Cladding is when you apply one material over another to provide a skin or layer used for thermal control, weather resistance, and improve the appearance of buildings. That's when you are cladding. That's the function of cladding. Now, function of a wall. Functions of wall. One of the functions of a wall is to protect, give protection from weather. It gives protection. It also allows for proper demarcation of any given area, gives barriers to sound and sound insulation, separates spaces in the interior of the building, separate the interior spaces in the building. Also gives strength and stability to the building, gives strength and stability to the building, reduces spread of fire from building spaces and other buildings. Between one building to the other, the walls help to reduce the spread of fire. Also provides thermal insulation. There it controls the weather, because of when you have walls around, when the outside is very cold, people run in, and especially when you have heated walls, it helps you to maintain the cool, or rather maintain the temperature within a particular space, and also provide security. Walls provide security to any building because it provides demarcation. You can stay by the back of the wall, and then you can, especially when you have the doors that are there, once you go into the space, it provides a little bit of security. Wall maintenance and planning. Normally, once you come into a facility, especially as facility managers, we expect that you every day you thoroughly inspect the wall. You go around the building that you're in charge of every day when you come in. You check for wall cracks. You check for building wall movement. Well, wall movement normally occurs when there is what we call building settlement. Building early settlement, especially for new buildings. Any building that is just built within the first 3 to 6 months, we expect the building to settle. The average displacement during building settlement is about 50 mm maximum, so that the building is where any building that settles beyond that begin to show signs of very serious defect. But a 50 mm building settlement is expected for any building. And once the building, because the building load and the load the exerts on the soil, we expect that when you are doing when the building is being done, the building itself will rest properly, ram itself into because of the load, ram into itself into the soil and sits properly. And once that happens, sometimes you see what we call settlement cracks in the walls. And once that appears, those cracks are not structural. There's nothing to fear about it. It just shows up in the wall, and if it becomes a concern, you just tap it and dress it, and then that's all. It's just something that you must just note. Then you need to properly maintain the landscape surfaces around the wall. Landscape refers to the hardscape and the softscape. The softscape is the greenery, the grasses and the flowers that you plant around the building. Sometimes once you have these planters, if they're not properly maintained, it can begin to grow on the building wall. And once it does that, sometimes it affects the building. So it's for regular maintenance, you must trim the flowers, trim the plantings so that they remain on the soil so they don't grow on the walls. Then one maintenance, one of the things that we also look at flaking paint. Can be as a result of moisture, or improper preparation when the paint was first applied. Sometimes it may be as a result of the quality of paint that is being used. When you see flaking paint, it is not cause for alarm. What you just do, you just scrape off all the existing paint, and then you just repaint the wall, and then you should be fine. Repaint to the right quality and do the necessary wall preparation that is required to give the wall a good and smooth finish. Chalking paint. Chalking paint is when you have it's as a result of weather. Once there's an weather impact to the paint, it affects the paint and then it begins to chalk. And sometimes it may be as a result of the quality of paint that is being used. If you have a bad quality of paint that is being used, after a while, there's those days we used to call it touch and follow. Once you touch the wall, the paint follows you. That is, the dust of the paint follows you because of the quality of the paint. If you don't use the right quality of paint, that happens. Once you notice the chalking in the paint, it means that the paint has lost its quality. What you need to now do is to scrape off the chalking paint, and then repaint it, and then you should be fine. You have when you begin to have more growth on the wall. This is normally caused by leakage and wall trapped in between gutters. Water trapped in and around the gutters overflow. Clean out gutters, identify and repair leakages and repaint walls. And sometimes it may be as a result of capillary rise, where water is rising on the wall. When the foundation of the building is not properly done, you can normally have what we call capillary rise. When the DPC is not put when doing construction, once the building is completed, the groundwater in the foundation rises on the wall and it causes dampness on the wall. Once that happens, you may need to treat that capillary rise and then repaint over. You normally have what we call you do a primer to prime the place properly and do an undercoat before you do your final painting. The basic thing for such wall maintenance is to ensure that you treat whatever leakage that is done. If you have leaking of the gutters into the walls, probably the gutters are clogged or are blocked, the roof gutters, you clear out all the dirt on the roof gutters, you take it away. And sometimes this may also be caused by the condensate pipes, the AC condensate pipes in the wall. When the AC pipes in the wall probably has gotten an issue to leak water into the wall and cause it to have dampness. And once that happens, stop all leakages, and then you now repaint the wall properly. When you have fixing corroding, sometimes you have you have parts in the wall that are corroded by salt or moist. Remove all corrosion by sanding, and then fill the holes with putty and repaint. Sometimes you have a sealant getting weak at joints as a result of sunlight effect on sealant. Replace all sealants carefully in order not to damage the building wraps. Ceilings and roof. Ceiling is an the overhead interior surface that covers the upper limit of a roof. It is not generally considered as a structural element, but a finished surface concealing the underside of the roof structure or floor of a story above. Ceilings are actually a finished item, they are decorative items to make the place look nice and smooth. Types of ceilings. You have acoustic ceilings, It is good. It has good sound insulation. It is not commonly used as it contains asbestos and has lost its popularity since the banning of asbestos. Then you also have the drywall ceilings, what some people will call POP boards, commonly used for residential buildings. And then sometimes you can also have it done directly with POP. Plaster of Paris. You have the suspended ceilings or job ceilings. This is normally used in commercial buildings, hides electrical and mechanical features in the ceilings, and then also hangs in between the existing flat ceilings. Cathedral ceilings are the ones that are found create a dramatic feel at slopes by the sides meets in the center of the room, like what you find in cathedrals, in churches, in mosques. We have what we call cathedral ceilings. Factors for selecting ceiling finish. You have the floor type. The floor type can be a factor. The lifespan of the ceiling itself, that is the durability of the ceiling, its fire resistance, quality, the appearance of the ceiling finish itself, the function of the building itself. It's a commercial building, you know exactly what you're going to use. And for safety of the building occupants, these are factors that are used in selecting ceilings. Then some ceiling materials include wooden boards, commonly used for general structures of building, plasters. Sometimes when you have decking, the plaster, just plaster finish with mortar is also a finish. You also have the plaster board, like I mentioned, POP boards can also be used as ceiling finish. You also have wooden panels or planks that are they can also be used as wooden finish and ceiling finish. You also have metal ceiling tiles, which is easy to install, and they're also used as finishes. Ceiling repairs. Water leakage is a major source of ceiling damage, of course. Identify and stop the source of the leakage. Dry the area above and below the ceiling. Remove the part of the ceiling that are damaged. Scrape away any part of the ceiling that is bulging or loose. You now probably leave the ceiling if it's still flat and smooth. Replace the entire ceiling if the plaster separates from the wood flat. Also look at use sandpaper to smoothen over the ridges between the good and the affected areas. Apply primer and then paint if there is any visible stain on the wall. Most of the issues that occur for damage is due to water leakage. And these days where you are beginning to have ceiling collapse, it is important to treat it as quick as possible. When there are leakages, most of the times I advise my clients, once they have leakages in their buildings and they are calling out, there's leakage on my ceilings and all that. The culprits are always the water areas. The bathroom, the supply pipes to the bathroom, AC pipes, the kitchen areas, all the sources of water, they are always the culprits. So you look at those ones, try and shut out the pipes, check the areas to be sure that there are no leakages in those areas. Once you discover the leakage, repair the pipes and stop the leakage. Allow the place to dry properly before you attend to the ceiling. When it is properly dry, you can now change the ceiling or you paint the area that are affected accordingly. Or when the place is done, when the particular ceiling is damaged, you can cut it away and fit a new part into the ceiling area. Then for roofs, a roof is the top covering of a building, including all the materials and structures necessary to support it on the wall of the building or upright, providing protection against rain, snow, sunlight, extreme temperature, and wind. A roof is it's part of the building envelope itself. There are different types of roofs. Basically, we have the flat roof and the hip roof. The flat roof is mostly used for commercial building or for high-rise structure. One of the simple roofs to construct as it has little or no pitch. Then for hip roofs, commonly used for residential buildings, very difficult to construct when compared to flat roofs. because you have some of the using of rafters and pull-lines that are part of the roof structure itself. Apart from that, looking under hip roof, there are different types of roofs that we have. You have the gable, you have the chipped gable roof, you have the Dutch gable, you have the hip roof, you have the mustard roof, you have the shed roof, you have the flat roof. Just different types of roof, different types of feeling that comes from the different roofs. But the major one is that you either have a flat roof or you have a roof that is fixed at any point in time. Factors for selecting roof finish. One, how strong is the finish? Its ability to transfer light, the cost or how attractive it is, the load of the roof itself. Types of roof finishing, you have plastic roofing sheets. Plastic roofing sheets are normally, especially for shops or for verandas, you have sometimes where you use these plastic sheets. You have the corrugated galvanized sheets. It's normally the zinc sheets are normally corrugated. You have the fiberglass sheets used for industry. You have the polycarbonate, which are used for canopies. You also have the roof tiles that you can also use. Roofing materials, including asphalt, commonly used in roofing residential building. You have the wooden stacks. You have which gives the building a look and waterproof as it overlaps with each other, so it doesn't allow water come in. It requires more maintenance than the asphalt roof or fiberglass. Metal, that's the long span aluminum roof. Only one of the most commonly material used for the roof, examples such as steel, tin, copper, zinc, or aluminum, all classified into metal materials. Roof repairs. Damage is usually as a result of storm or heavy downpour. When there's a storm wind that comes that affects roof, that's one of the things that affects roof. And once this affects your roof, assess the extent of damage on the roof itself. If there is actually leakage in the roof, once there is leakage, you need to see properly. Is there holes that needs to be repaired? If there are holes on the roof, you look for the roof technician to come and fill those holes up, and then the leakage will stop. Once the roof is badly damaged, remove that down to the slits in damaged areas. Replace the damaged materials, the areas where the sheets or the slits are bad. Take it out and replace it. To prevent additional water damage by ensuring that the roof is properly tiled, where the areas where the slits are bad, you tile that, and then you also ensure that the roof gutters you clean the roof gutters regularly. Most of the time, for buildings that have roof gutters, you need to maintain your roof gutters properly, especially where you have plants like trees around. Dry leaves may fly into those areas and clog and block off the roof gutter. If you don't clean it, it will cause the roof to get damaged. Clean up the roof gutters to allow for free flow of rainwater into the roof. And one of the things that normally happens, especially for long span aluminium roof, is normally affected by the quality of the aluminum sheet itself. Normally, the recommended for residential building is 0.55 gauge long span aluminum sheet. But these days, it's becoming increasingly difficult to get the 0.55 gauge of sheet. What you even have in the market sometimes is even lower than 0.35. And it's just the market will find ourselves. So when you have such an issue, what we normally do for the corrugated long span aluminum sheet is that we do double lapping instead of single lapping, so that you have a double lap and then the roofs are firmly held in position so that you don't have leakages in the roof. It's something that you must take note of. You must look at once there is building leakages. Look, especially during the building construction, you check for the roofing. Just ensure that the roof technicians do what we call double lapping. Just tell them that and insist on double lapping because you are not always sure of the quality of the gauge of the roofing material that is used to roof the building itself. So double lapping helps to hold the roof firmly so that when there is thunderstorm or there is wind or heavy downpour, the building is able to resist whatever wind, and the roof is able to resist the wind impact on itself so that you don't have leakages on the roof. Floors. Before we go into floors, I would, this is 5:51. I would just want us to take our break now. So I want to resume by 6 o'clock. I will just run into floors and we conclude the class. I hope that's okay.
Fine, it's okay.
Yes, it's okay.
Problem. So we'll go on our break now. I'll be back in a short while. Thank you. Okay, 6 o'clock. Can we start? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, please, we are together.
All right, we'll just continue. Flaws. A flaw is the bottom surface of a room or a vehicle. Flaws may be stone, wood, bamboo, metal, or any other material that can support the expected load. The level of a building are often referred to as flaws, although a more proper term for that is a story. Flaws typically consist of subfloor that supports and a floor covering used to give good working surface. In modern buildings, the subfloors are often has electrical wiring, plumbing, and other services built in. As floors must meet many needs, some essentials to safety floors are built to strict building codes in some regions, in some areas. I'm sure that one of the courses you are going to do is building code, and we will talk about that. Floors, there are different types of floors. We have laminate floor, it's resistant to stain, rarely fades, and is very durable, very easy to install, only discolored or damaged if it cannot be, once it's discolored or damaged, it cannot, so that means you just change it. Easily damaged by water, but has a good, it's good for traffic areas. You have floor tiles, are good for high traffic areas, easily replaceable, and they're also durable itself, easily damaged when heavy objects drops on it. Tiles are good, but can be damaged easily once you have heavy objects dropping on it. We also have hardwood floor, can be rehabilitable or refinished when damaged. That's wood. It is good. It is not good. It is not so aesthetically pleasing. That is, if it's not properly maintained, it is not ideal for use in business environment because when it's not properly maintained, it starts decaying and it looks very bad. Its value is immediately taken away at the beginning of its life cycle. It is not cost effective. Wooden floors are hardwood floors are quite expensive because wood is very scarce in the market now. Carpet floor are very economical but not cost effective, wears off easily, not made for long haul. Carpets come in different types, like a rug and all that. You can actually use that for flooring. You have the ceramic floor. Ceramic tiles is used. It has good water resistance. Difficult in cleaning grouted lines where you have the tiles and it's grouted. Sometimes you can accumulate dirt. There is the tendency of low quality quality tiles chipping off. Once the ceramic tiles are not of good quality, it actually chips off. The marble tiles floor are one of the most durable floor tiles because it's a natural occurring stone. This is also granite is also part of this natural occurring stone used for walls and columns too. Can be easily cleaned and maintained because it's a natural occurring stone. It can be polished and it comes back to its look. It comes much better. Suspended floor, make up of two materials, concrete and timber joist, gives comfort to building occupants when the carpet is spread on the floor. Gives good soundproofing when well installed and used in the upper floors. Solid floor, that is the hard solid floors. We have the sub base that is found in the foundation. You have concrete, you have cement floor screed, you have sand, you have damp-proof membrane and insulation. And you also have special floor structures, raised floors found in IT rooms where you have a lot of cable running underneath. It's used for utility underneath. You have balconies, raised floors, protect from the walls. When you have overhangs of balconies, there are special floors that are done there. You also have glass floor. It's also used for reduction of noise or vibration. You have the sport floor, which are normally used for sport halls, like indoor sports halls or basketball courts and what have you. You also have the soft floor, which are used in areas that you want a little bit of warmth. And these floors, you have rugs and carpet, depending on the kind of carpet. It looks very nice and feels warm, make you feel homely. You also have resilient floors, durable and easy to maintain. They're made of rubber or sheet vinyl or linoleum, like the normal vinyl carpets that you buy and spread over the floors. They are normally, they also have those properties. Then for the hard flooring, the properties are they are durable but expensive. Examples of these are the concrete finish, ceramic tiles, granite, marble, vitrified tiles, brick finish, and terrazzo floors, which are done and they are very durable. For those old houses that you see terrazzo, it can last for a long time. Nothing happens to it. Just for it to clean properly and polish, and the terrazzo keep looking good. Even if you decide to try to put a carpet over the terrazzo, when you take out the carpet and you rebuff the floor, you see that the floor still comes out very nice and clean. It's very durable. Floor problems. Tricky on wood flooring in certain areas. These are called as the subfloor joint as a result of wooden rubbing on against each other. Once the wood, after expansion and construction, after a while, it starts rubbing on each other and it loses its point. Problem can be reduced by holding the piece of each other with screws. You just screw it back and then it's fine. Floor vibrating, or making a lot of sound when there is heavy footsteps. Reduce problem by flotation of the floor. Just put there's normally a layer that is put over such floors before the floor is done. So it serves as a shock absorber so you don't have those vibrations happen. And then sometimes you have floor borders having gaps, usually caused by moist, and the flooring very moist when it is being installed. As it dries out, sometimes it causes gaps around the edge of the wall. So you must look at that to be sure you just grout or fill it up and then it closes it. For wooden boards, cracks, and separation usually occur in lines with weather changes, and especially in heavy rainy season when the rooms is heated up. Monitoring the room temperature and taking corrective action. You reduce once it's wet, it expands, and when it dries, it contracts in, and sometimes it causes gap and cracks. And sometimes you may even see cracks on concrete walls. Well, there are different types of cracks in building. We have the structural cracks. These are the ones that affect the building, that runs from the building from top to the foundation. Structural cracks are very dangerous, and that it is difficult to maintain structural cracks. Once you see a structural crack in a building, it means that the foundation is failing. The building is the foundation is not holding anymore. The building is beginning to tear itself apart. In that situation, demolition of the building is inevitable. But when you have the regular settlement crack, like I mentioned before, you don't have any building threat. You just observe it for a while. Once the building settles completely, you just treat it and it's fine. And then we also have what we call the plaster cracks. This normally happens when you use when you don't use a good gauge of plaster sand in the plastering, after a while, the plaster will start, the plaster will start cracking up. And once that begins to happen, the simple solution is to crack out the area that is bad and replaster the area, and then you are good and dry and easy to go. Cleaning of floors. Cleaning methods depend on the type of floor. For wooden floor, you clean the furniture, sweep all the dust, the loose dust, going along the drains, mop the floor, and then add a few drops of cleaning soap in a wet cloth and just dampen it with a mop with water. That's for wood. And sometimes you may need to wire brush out mop thoroughly before use. And then, sorry, wiping out we wipe the mop properly so that you don't have excess water. Do not use water to associate the floor because wood actually sucks a lot of water. So you must be careful about that. Then you need to buff the floor from time so that you're able to have. Therefore, tiles and stone floors, remove dust and dirt with a broom or vacuum cleaner. Spray appropriately with solution on the floor, scrub the floor or mop the floor, and that's for cleaning that. And for the daily routine for cleaning schedule, daily schedule for mopping. Remember, I was talking about maintenance is to dust and sweep and mop. That's for daily routine for cleaning. Weekly, we ask that you probably do a little bit of vacuuming so that once in a week, once you vacuum your space, it looks good. And monthly, while you are doing your mopping, your dusting and wiping and vacuuming, you also add polishing to the floor finish so it comes out pristine and good. And then quarterly, you may need to do some deep cleaning where you take specific areas and clean properly. Then for windows, remember just to mention we have taken floors, we have taken walls, we have taken a foundation, and now we are going to windows. After windows, we're going to doors. These are the different elements in a building. A window is an opening in a wall, door, roof, or vehicle that allows for exchange of light and more also allows passage of sound and some air. Modern windows are usually glazed or covered in some other transparent or translucent materials. Many windows may be open to allow ventilation, closed to exclude inclement weather. Windows may be latched or similar mechanized, to lock mechanism to lock the window shut or to hold the openings at a particular amount. There are different types of windows in a building. There are some types of windows. There are so many types of windows and available based on their positioning, material, the functioning of the window. They are classified as follows. There are different types of windows. You can just go through them. You have the fixed windows. This is when the window is fixed. There's no opening at all, no sliding. Just the function is just to send in light into a particular space. You also have sliding windows. You know that you have the pivot. Pivot is the one that opens, you push out. You have the double hang, the one that you slide up and which hangs. You have the louver windows, you have metal windows, corner windows, bay windows, dormer windows. You have lantern windows. You have gable windows, ventilators, and skylights. They're just different types of windows, just for you to know them. And windows covering, internal window covering. There are different coverings that you apply to windows depending on the type and what the client wants. You apply, there's a one that you just apply film over the window. It uses
I'm not hearing.
sun, rain, and ultraviolet.
I'm not hearing. I was at it. I'm not hearing at all.
I'm sure you're the one that have problem with your connection. Other people are hearing.
I can hear. Maybe it's network from your end.
Yes, it's network, so you should look at
Probably on it.
All right. Cellular Sage is also part of it. Provides excellent insulation and improves energy performance. We also have drippers or curtains that you normally know, used as decoration and gives privacy to the window space. You also have interior louver shutters that provides control over solar heat gain and gives privacy and adequate daylight, depending on the types that you use. And sometimes there are just different interior coverings you can use for the windows. External window covering, you have the external louver shutters and roller shutters that covers the windows. You have the external roller shutters, shaders that are used to protect the window against the sun. You have the external solar screens that are fixed, that are retractable arms. You have the roller shutters that just drops off when they are very harsh weather. It can be used for different types. The window glazing, you have the spectral reflective coat, you have the reflective coat, and then you have the gas field for improving of camera and for sound. Gas field, for those that travel, often that if you look at the aircraft windows, you see that they are fixed, you can't open it. For those aircraft itself, if you look at the windows, you have double layers, you have two glasses. That's what we call double glazed. That's what we call double glaze. In between those glazing, in between those two windows, there's always gas in between. It helps to maintain the temperature in between the space and to keep the pressure at those heights. For high-rise buildings, those are the kind of windows we use there. It's just for low-rise buildings that you have the normal windows. It's good for sound insulation also. Window frames, you have composite frames, which is resist moist and decay. You have vinyl frame, has good moisture resistance and do not require painting. Aluminum frame reduces heat flow, good for conducting heat, good conductor of heat. Then you also have fiberglass frames, gives a better thermal performance compared to wood. When types of window materials, we have wood is used, but it's not as popular as it used to be those days, where you have wooden frames. You have the aluminum. Aluminum is becoming increasingly popular these days. Aluminum, the best option when maximizing light, maximum light is required, and the strength of aluminum can support a large area of glass and has a disadvantage of converting it very prone to condensation, also has low cost of maintenance. And that's why you have aluminum very popular. Vinyl gives good sound and heat insulation requires little maintenance. Also, for maintenance of windows, window maintenance, use weather strips to reduce air and water infiltration. Weather strips are put around the glass to seal out the external effect, or external wind or weather, the water coming into the building. Regular inspection of the window interior and exterior is something that you must do. Check the windows, hardware, locks, and opening mechanism. Any exposed hardware must be tightened and secured properly, or always inspect the external clocking around the window frame, outer edge, to be sure that they are all in position. Check window for smooth operation. Clean dust, and sand from the window seals or tracks or hinges so that the windows operate properly. Window repair, once it comes to timber window, which we are not used to anymore, one of the things that happens with a lot of decay of the wood or flaking paint. Once that occurs, you cut out this area that is affected and then you replace with a new one. And then you cover it and you seal it up and you paint accordingly. For window sill can be repaired by cutting off the rotted part and then planting the new piece and seasoning wood, and then you now paint and repair. Window panel mixing up. The formation of condensation inside seal cavity. Replace the glazed shield unit or replace the whole window itself. When the sealants that are used for the edges of the windows are getting weak or bad, you may need to replace them. Damp and drop on windows caused by rain entering through gaps around the windows. Once you have rain entering through the gaps around the windows, improve room ventilation to remove all the moisture areas, seal up gaps in areas around the window, install insulated plastic closers, and then the window should be jolt proof so that you don't have that coming in. For metal window rotted, the areas clean out surface of with a wire brush. When you use a metal steel and you have the steel begin to rust due to impact of moist, you use a wire brush to brush off the rusted part, the affected area, cut out the corroded section if necessary, wet in the new replacement, apply the quality zinc primer paint over the rusted area or the anti-rust paint or red oxide or black oxide, depending on what the engineer will approve for you to use, and then repaint. Defective lintel, expose wooden lintel to dry up and replace it. That's when you're using wooden lintels, and then insert the new lintel to support the cavity of the weight. Now, doors. There are different types of doors. There are various types of doors that are used in a building. A door is an access or barrier which is provided in a wall opening to give an access into a space, into the internal area of the building. The internal portions of a building are usually connected by doors. The internal rooms of a building are normally connected by doors. Types of doors used in a building. Now, doors are classified majorly into 4 types, and the 4 types define the name or the type that is used. It's placed there are 4 different classifications for naming the doors. One is based on the placement of the components. 2 is also based on the method of construction of the door itself. 3 is also based on the working operation of the door, how the door works. Then 4 is also based on the construction material used for the door. Is used for, these are the different classification in naming the doors that is used. For example, these are the for the types of doors that are based on the components. You have the batten and ledge doors. You look at this picture that is associated here. You know that kind of door is normally used in old houses, especially in village houses where you have ledge and battens for the doors. The ledge is what goes horizontally, while the battens go vertically. And then the next one, you have the batten, ledge, and brace doors. The batten, like I said, goes vertically, the ledge goes horizontally, and the brace goes diagonally. Then you also have the other one that is called the batten, the ledge, and the frame door, where you have the ledge going horizontally, the batten goes vertically, and it's all work together in between a frame. And you have the final one that has the batten, the ledge, the brace, and the frame door, where you have the frame going around. You have the ledge vertically. You have the ledge horizontally, and you have the battens vertically, and you all have the brace going horizontally. The braces are always horizontal. Those are for the doors that is as the component, the placement of the component. Then the door type based on the method of construction. You have the frame and panel doors, where you have the frame around it, and they are framed into panels, the small panels around the door. That's what we call panel doors. You also have the glazed door. It's made made of glass. You have the frame, and then the glass that is there. You have the louver doors where wooden louver blades are put into the door workings, and you also have the flush doors. The flush doors, you have two types. You have the core, the flush core, and then flush doors where you have the core that is made of soft material, soft board, and then you have the cover just running over it with timber. You also have the hollow core and cellular core flush doors. The hollow core is the one that has a hole in between, which is just flushed in, and then finally you have the wire gauge doors, like what you call the net doors that you are used to in your houses, metal net or plastic net, depending on what you use. Metal net is the most popular that we know around. Then you also have the other one, the doors that are based on the working operations, revolving door, the doors that go around in those big banks or commercial buildings, you have revolving doors, and you can also just go in and the door just continues to rotate throughout. You have the sliding door, all of us know sliding doors. You have the swing door, the open swing. You also have the collapsible steel door that are normally used for storefronts or in our old houses. You also have what we call the roller shutters. These are used for storefronts, most of the time roller shutters. And then you also have the door types that is based on the material that is being used. Mild steel sheet doors. You have the corrugated steel doors. You have the hollow steel doors, and then you have the metal covered ply steel doors. Metal covered plywood doors. There you have the plywood inside the door, but it's all covered in metal. Then you also have door stoppers. Door stoppers is a thin slate that allows the door that is as part of this at the bottom or inside the door, and it prevents the door from swinging in full when the door is open or is closed. Prevents the hinges from breaking or also for hitting the wall. You also have the lintel. The lintel is normally found at the top of the door. The horizontal beam above the door gives support to the wall above it. Then there's what we call the shield. The shield is what occurs at the bottom. The architrave is the part that is attached to the door frames itself to just make it look nice. Window shield, especially for the shield, especially for external doors, the bottom part of the parallel plate that is placed at the base of the door, which gives a little bit of support to the door and protects the door against rodents coming in. Then for different door repairs, once there are things you need to check out once you are looking at door repairs. Door not closing properly. Check if the door is swollen as a result of very high humidity. That's for wooden door. When the door is swollen as a result of high humidity, that is moist. The door is soaked so much moist. What will happen is that you leave the door handle when trying to open or close the door. Check it works easily, and if that is the problem, just adjust the hinges so that the loose out the hinges and then adjust it properly, and the door should lock. Then when the door rubber or stick, you have the door rubbing or stick in the frame. When the door is rubbing the stick, when it's not properly hit, so as a result of high humidity also, or should be properly adjusted, and then it should fix itself. Door not latching properly as a result of wrong positioning of the door frame or caused by strike plate. The door adjustment should be checked and properly repositioned. Cold air coming in, air around the door when there are gaps around the door as a result of the door having gaps. Door should be properly adjusted and those gaps closed off. Once the door, when those gaps are closed off, you're sure to have that properly sealed up. Then you have flush bolt. Flush bolts is especially for double doors when the flush bolts are not the bolts for the loose attaching the screws. Check normally the flush bolts are normally those ones that you put at the top and the bottom of the door that locks into the frame and locks into the ground. you need to just check for the screws that they are properly in place. Once they're not properly in place, probably take out the plug and replace the defective screws and put it back properly. Door frames. Inspect door frames regularly. Repair any defects to the frame. Then glass lights. Where you have glass insert indoors, be careful to check for cracks around the glass insert and replace the missing ones if there's any ones that are broken. Door maintenance checklist. These are some of the things that you may just look at when you are referring to doors. The checklist, check all door locks and opening mechanism. Check if the door operates smoothly. Check if the screws are tight securely. Check door hinges and tracks for sand or dirt. Check if the screws are secured fastened in the screen or combinations. Also check for trimming off of the cloak that is loose. Seal up gaps with quality cloaks, and then check if the weather strips is still effective around the door, just to check that all the sealants that you have around the door are properly in place, the hinges are in place. Check for movement, and then replace the damaged ones quickly so that it doesn't deteriorate so fast. Thank you very much for the time. So I'll take our questions now, if we have any, so that we can have some discussion. Thank you. So if you have any question, you can raise your hand, and then we'll take your questions quickly. Okay, I can see one hand raised. I will take your question. So you can unmute yourself and then ask your question.
Good evening. Thank you very much for the class. Okay, so when you were talking about building settlements, you mentioned that the settlement of the building within 50 mm is appropriate, or it's still not dangerous. Is there a tool or something to gauge such measurements?
Okay. Well, there's the construction firm that would have built that building. There's what we call building level. At the initial stage of the building, they take the level around the building when the building is being constructed. And after the building has been constructed, they take it again. And to them that will now notice the drop. You, as the occupant of the building, you normally do not, when the building stretches, you normally do not notice. The only thing that brings it to bear is when there is a slight crack, when there's differential settlement. That is when you will notice it. However, once there's no differential settlement, you don't even know that the building has settled, because it occurs in a very invisible manner. You don't, except you take an instrument to check. Which is when you notice the differential settlement that you probably know that, oh, this building is settling differentially. But when that is happening, you can just measure with you have a tape. You just check. It should not go beyond 50 mm. It should not go beyond 50 mm. And once it doesn't go beyond 50 mm, there's no problem you are safe. I hope I've answered your question.
Yes, thank you. I was actually thinking probably in the building environment, maybe there's a particular machine or the particular equipment that is made permanently or majorly for that.
No, there's what we call there are different names for it. You have a theodolite. It's just used for building levels. If you are not into construction, you may not know it. It's just to check the height of the building. Once they just check the height of the existing, they just take it, use it to take the general. The surveyors have that. The building surveyors, they know how to manipulate that. Once it requires that, you will see them do that. That's what they use to check the levels. But apart from that, it's not something that, if it becomes a thing of concern, that is when once it becomes an issue of concern, building settlement itself, it means that it's becoming structural. It's not supposed to be obvious. You're not supposed to really know about it. except it becomes a concern. Once it becomes a concern, then you will have more issues, not just building settlement.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Gift, you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
All right, thank you, sir. Good evening once again.
Good evening.
So, I want to ask a question concerning wars. Now, I've come across some walls in which, after painting, after some times, you begin to see as if there's water entering those walls, which normally affect those paints. And sometimes you can experience them even in the interior aspect of the room, which is inside the rooms or inside the space. So I want to ask my question from this angle. First, what is the major cause of that? And number two, what is the remedy to such situation? Because there are times in which I've experienced it, even sometimes the painter will paint, he will use filler to fill those places, and after some weeks or months, it will go back to the initial stage of how it was before. So what is the cause of such situation and what is the remedy? Thank you, sir.
All right. I actually mentioned this when I was taking the class. It's called capillary rise. Writing down capillary rise is the same thing.
Hello, good evening, everybody.
Yeah, good
evening. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, everybody. Good evening. I want to ask a question.
Good evening, Mr. You may need to hold on. I will turning to that of gift. If you want to ask your question,
please, can I ask a question?
Press the.
Please hold
can I ask
on.
a question,
Hold
please?
on, Oga. Let the facilitator finish the first person.
Can I ask a question, please? Hello,
Mr. Emmanuel, you may need to finish with those that have asked their question.
Hello, can I ask a question? Hello.
Admin, can you mute him for now, please?
Admin, please. Stopping the class. Okay, Gift.
Please, can I ask a question, please? Good evening, everybody.
Miracle. Please, can you attend to Mr. Emmanuel, please? He's stopping this class.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Sorry, Gift. I've lost your question now. Okay, okay, yes, I can remember now. Now, capillary rise, or rising dam. It's when you have water coming from the ground. The groundwater is rising through the walls. It happens to the external wall and internal walls. This normally happens once what we call DPC or DPM, that membrane that is supposed to protect water from coming into the walls, has failed or it was not used during the building construction. Once that happens, there is nothing you can do again. Two things that we normally do, there's a solution that I will normally do. We will crack at about 300 mm above the floor level, around the building, around the wall, and then begin to inject some water sealant into the walls around it before we close it up. That is when it is very bad. The water sealant, that only helps the wall for between 6 to 7 years. That is the best I have done that I've seen. And after that is done, you do full, around those areas, you will use waterproof cement to plaster the walls. You crack out the plaster and replaster with waterproof cement before you now do your undercoat around the wall, you now primer and then paint. Once that is done, it will help to protect the wall for a while, for like 6 to 7 years and sometimes to 10 years before it begins to show it again. But the major problem normally occurs once the DPC is not done, once the DPC or the DPM has failed. And it is very cheap to do the DPM during foundation. It's just to put the membrane around before casting the floor slab. And then once that is done, you won't have that problem. But when it's not done, it begins to show up. That's the best solution. I have done, and I've seen that happen. That's the way to manage it for now. I hope I've answered your question.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right. Olumide, let me take your question. Unmute yourself and ask your question.
Okay, good evening. Thank you for the class so far. I wanted to ask, okay, for some of us that are into maybe bank projects and it's you have limited time to deliver. I've had times that for the vaults or for some walls, I had to engage or employ the use of Please, can Mr. Emmanuel just mute? Thank you. Okay, so I've had to engage the use of halogen lamps to power halogen lamps to dry the walls so that I'll be able to meet the deadline. I hope this is okay. Though I'd had one experience that all the efforts concerning this particular wall, there was a wall that was each time we tried to paint, the paints were coming off. So we had to go into the next compound, and we discovered that there was a tank, water tank that was close to it and all that. So, well, to actually correct that, we had to erect another wall. We created a gap between the existing wall and erected another wall. So there was a little space in between the existing wall. We had to create a... Hello?
You created a cavity wall.
Hello?
That's what it is.
Yes, a cavity wall. Okay, so I want to know that using halogen lamps to dry walls, I hope it's okay. It's something that one can always use, or I'm just trying to run ahead of time. That's number one question. Then number two question is I have issues for some roof, especially where you have panels. And every corrective measures you try to put to some of this roof, we still have issues with it. I've had issues of leakages in roof where we have put felt. It's just a matter of time. After some months, you discover the felt are no longer effective. It still keeps leaking. How do one control such leakages? How do one correct it?
Okay. Let me start from the first. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Great. First one, you're talking about is vault space and using halogen light to dry out the walls. For vaults, they normally will not have windows. And one of the problems with those walls is they have what affects those walls normally is what we call condensation, where the external environment is cold, and then that area around the vault begins to suck in moisture, and then it shows up in the internal area of the wall. Every vault space, like the ones that I have been involved that I've done for different different banks at different points in time, we normally install what we call dehumidifier in those spaces so that it takes out the excess moist from the space, because it will always be moist because the place is always secured. Except we make provision for some kind of ventilators, which is not always provided in those vault areas because of the security that they want to get. So normally what we do is to install dehumidifiers around inside the vault that just keeps working. It takes out the excess moist and dries out the wall, so you don't have that happening around that space for those vaulted areas. Because normally the problem that those vaults normally have is actually condensation from cooling walls that comes in. Then two, the second one you're asking is the issue of what's that?
roof that have
Can you remind me quickly? Sorry.
Leakages as a result of
Panels.
solar panels installations.
Panels, yes. For first of all, solar panels. This is a recurring issue for most roofs because, like I mentioned during the class, that sometimes you have the gauge of the roof that is used, the long span and long gauge, is not the required quality, the lower quality. So once that happens, any activities that happen on top of the roof after the roofing itself, it causes that roof to be prone to form of damage and then leakages. What I normally will advise, if you know that if you are not too sure of the kind of roof finishes that were used at that particular time, is that you, at that space where you want to install the panel, you do another layer of roof over it. It will help to protect the roof so that you don't have leakages. For issues that, for cases that has already occurred, like the one you're mentioning now, what normally happens, you will need to do what we call a flash ban first around the areas that have leakages, not just the felt. The felt will always fail. You do a flash ban, and then you do, there's this what do you call it now? Waterproofing sealant that is being used. There's a chemical that you just spread over the area. It's like a plastic. Once it's like paint. Once you roll it around the area, immediately it dries out. It becomes like rubber, like plastic, so that you don't have any leakage going in. The only problem with that is that once you do that, it will be difficult for you to do any activity on that roof again. But to prevent it from leaking, these are the two steps I have done, and I've solved the problem I have been involved in, especially on the solar panel. So those are some of the issues that I think can be a solution to you. However, if that doesn't work, that means that area of roof that was done, the roofing sheets may need to be completely changed because it's not the right gauge, and it will just keep showing up. Anytime they go up for maintenance, the area you fix, another area will show up. So you may just need to look at that. I hope I've answered your question.
Yes, thank you. You have.
Thank you. Can I ask my question, please?
There's
Can I
a
ask my
question
question?
on the chat. You asked, please, what causes walls? Okay. There are different things that causes cracks on wall. One of them that causes cracks on wall, like I mentioned, it can be due to when they use the bad and plaster sand when they're doing plastering. That may not be there. You just see patches of cracks on the wall, and those cracks doesn't go through the wall. It's just on the surface. That's what we call surface cracks or air cracks. And those ones, you just tap it off and replaster. You solve the problem. Then the one that goes through the wall on both sides, like I've mentioned before, building settlement can cause a little bit of crack, but the crack is not extended. It's just there. It just shows up after you've been accepted, and it remains like that. Once you have that, you just fill up with body filler or bonding agent and plaster over it, and then paint. Those are the things, and just repair the walls, and the wall will be fine. I hope I've answered your question, Mrs. Ige. So Emmanuel, let's take your question now. If you can hear me, or you can unmute yourself and ask your question, Mr. Emmanuel.
Question. I have a question. Can I ask my question, please?
Go ahead and ask your question, Mr. Emmanuel.
Okay, sir. This particular topic you have taught us now, today's topic, is centered on building or structure. And I remember when I was working for a particular property organization where we were building, these are part of the things I learned over there. So the question I want to ask now is, what are the advantages of knowledge that one will acquire in this particular lecture on structure and building? What advantage will it be for somebody who will be a facility manager to a company tomorrow that is meant to manage all the equipment or building? So I want to know the benefit of this particular topic you just taught us today. Please.
Okay, Manuel, one of the things that this is not just, this topic does not stand on its own. it works with other courses that you are running within the FM Mastercraft. And one of the things that you must know is that for everybody that is managing a building, you need to understand the different elements of the building and the different issues that arises in the building. If you don't have an understanding of the different elements in the building, you will not know whatever issues that comes up. Like for example now, some of the questions that we have discussed now, that some questions have asked, these are the things that occur in the building they are working with, they are interacting with. It is because of the knowledge of a class like this that will help them to preempt what the problem is and how to provide solutions for the problem in the facility they manage. If you know nothing about the building, you will not be able to whatever comes to the building.
Okay.
I hope I've answered the question.
Yeah. You have well answered this. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I'm seeing another question from Ms. Sige. Please, the two process for dealing with roof leakage. Second is the paint sealant. Please, what is the first process called? Well, whatever, I don't seem to understand the question you're asking, but like I just gave two methods that I have used. Is to use, you can actually change the roof, itself, the roofing sheets that are bad. You just replace it if possible. Once you replace it, you should be able to solve your problem. Replacing the whole roofing sheet in the areas that you are having the constant leakage. Once you replace those whole roofs, you'll be able to solve the problem. But when you are replacing it, you should replace it with the right gauge of roof, aluminum long span roof, and then you should be able to solve the problem. I hope I've answered your question now. Okay, any other question? Oh, no. Okay, tell me. I don't understand. Please unmute yourself and talk now, madam.
Hello, before we wait for madam. Hello, sir. Hello? Hello?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, with the teaching you have taught us today, can I say that having the knowledge of this particular lesson will also help me to know the different types of defects in a building?
I can't hear you, Mr. Emmanuel. You are sounding very far away from your phone or wherever you're.
I'm not far away. No, I'm not far away. It's the nature of my phone. Don't be offended. I said, okay, are you still there, sir? I said, with this lecture you have given us today, will it be able to help me to know when there are defects in a particular building?
Yes, of course. You should be able to know from the class.
Okay.
That's part of the things I've been talking about. So
okay.
You will discover by the time you go to your building, you begin to see some of the things you have not seen before. Okay, madam, you're talking about flash band. Yes, I mentioned flash band because once you have flash band, you use the flash band for spot areas. Once you have areas where you have noticed the leakage on the roof, the spots where you are seeing the holes on the roof, you can use flash band on it and it will close it and solve the problem. All right, that's it. Thank you, Adiola, for helping out to remind us. Okay. Any other question or contribution? Okay, if there are no more questions, I want to say thank you for attending today's class, and I hope you have learned one or two things. We'll meet another time, probably in the physical class, if you have any. Thank you for your time, and do have a good evening. God bless you.
All right, thank you, sir. We are grateful.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you, everyone.
Okay.
And please, we shouldn't forget to fill the feedback survey.
Okay.
And also our assignments. Those of us that have not completed them, you should please try and complete the previous assignments with this one.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone. You have a nice day.
All right. Thank you too. Hmm.